you.
Well, it's I've got good customers at home. And I've got my
All right. Good morning. We are just gathering and settling down. So another minute or so of gathering here. So we have Instagram Live going at this point. So we get a chance to online people to settle down as we are settling down here. So one more minute here before we start.
Nice. Cool. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm sure the whole interaction is gonna happen, but everybody here been here before? First timers? First timers. Well, you walk in like a vet. You were like, hey guys, everybody. It's like the mayor of Steelport over here.
I was looking for something else to buy.
It's like, just give me an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty much.
Yeah, hey, it's okay. How many people here have used Steelport before? Never. Okay, so a lot of first timers. It's great. Obviously Finex too. Fantastic. Everybody familiar with Finex or Finex? However you want to pronounce it. Great. Both locally started brands. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, we're excited. It's gonna be fun. How many people here are familiar with Filipino food? All right, couple. Okay, all right. I'll take it. So we're cooking French cuisine. No, I'm just kidding. So we're actually cooking Antarctican cuisine here today.
All right, I think we're ready to go ahead and start. And I know people do stuff. Thank you for taking your Saturday morning and joining us online or here in person. We're kind of excited to continue our monthly series of chef demos. I'll get a chance to get into a little bit of introductions for 2 days later. But a little bit of logistics. We are standing in our factory. This is where we make all the Steelport knives come through this factory. I always kind of, in my mind, having a chef demo and use of a knife in a factory reminds me of going to Vatican City and pray. It's the same concept of going to a place that we're going to figure out how it's actually used. Welcome to our humble abode here. Throughout the discussions and at the end, if you haven't been in this factory before, feel free, anybody with Steelport t-shirt around, more than happy to give you a tour, answer any additional questions that you might have. We have this monthly series of events happening. We, as a part of the community, we work very hard to open up our space to bring in people who enjoy food and are into food and cooking together and kind of give life back to local community. We have every month, at last Saturday of every month from 11 to 12, we open up our factory to some of our great chefs we have locally. In Portland, we're amazingly blessed to have great chefs, but they're all typically busy. They don't have time to spend an hour chatting with the people in the restaurants type thing, so it's opportunity. But they started, all of them that I know, started the whole thing for the love of cooking, sharing that love with the audience. So this gives them a chance for 1 hour of connecting and an hour for us as I didn't connect with them. In addition, if you haven't been here before, we have once a quarter, we have another larger event happening here in the factory. This quarter is kind of cheating a little bit. It's April 1st. It's our National Sourdough Day. It's next Wednesday. We'll have about 7 or 8 local bakers here, in addition to some other drinks and other areas. So from 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday here on Steelport Factory on Sandy Boulevard, we'll be hosting that. So this area will look very different with the booths and samples of breads for sale, pizza from Ken's, sampling of that type thing. So that should be fun if you guys are into bread like I am. I describe myself as carboholic, and we're very proud of our bread knife. So we might as well host a sourdough day for that. Next quarter, just give you a heads up, next quarter for Q2, the week before our Father's Day, we have the same thing. We have about 15 to 20 other brands, local artisans coming here. Third quarter, we have a National Knife Day in August, and the final quarter, we have the week before Thanksgiving. So again, those are areas we bring the community together. All that preamble to get to why you guys are all here today. We're excited to have Carlo here, Chef Carlo with us. Some of you guys already know him very well, but for some that might not have come across Carlo before, amazing chef. A little bit of background I've learned about Carlo is, born and mostly raised in Philippines with an exertion into Canada. I can relate to him for that. I spent a year or two in Canada as well. We were in the opposite side of Canada before heading back to the U.S. I was poking him and asking him, so how did the love of cooking came up? And it turns out that a lot of reasons, but being underneath the older sister and trying to support the older sister and trying to steal food from a great cooking of older sibling has led him into trying to prove his own chops in this area. He has a long experience of cooking. Went to school, went 9 years of cooking and area in different cities, and then went back to Culinary Institute of America to get a formal training, and then eventually ending up in Portland about 2014, if I remember correctly, coming back. And he's really credited for bringing the Filipino cuisine to Portland area with Magna opening up as one of the first places that opened up. And that was amazing success, multiple awards, nomination. Chef Carlo himself has been a James Beard finalist, representing Pacific Northwest. So a lot of kudos that I can give his sham hands like that. Today's focus is around how do you break down chicken. It's kind of amazing. Chicken is #1 protein in our diets, and a lot of people are afraid of taking apart. And there's, as someone like Carlo that has broken down thousands of chicken, it's probably like second nature of how is it done. So it's opportunity to show what is the best practices. And I think he found the biggest chicken he could find in the store to bring here to show off his capabilities here. So he will use primarily our boning knife through that process, but feel free to ask him any questions we go through. It's supposed to be interactive type areas. And afterwards, to entice you to stay behind, there's a sample of what happens if this is cooked and first like. So he has already cooked it offline and brought it in here, so no worries if you have to wait here for an hour for the food to be cooked. Given that, I turn it to you, Chef.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you very much. That was very, very kind of you. Kind words. So I paid him to do that. All right. So welcome, guys. My name is Carlo Lamagna, chef owner of Magna Kusina here in Portland. Also Magna Kainan out in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, I've been cooking for about, I was just telling you, I think about 28 years now. It's a long time to be doing anything, so you pick up a couple things here and there, a couple tips, a couple bad habits. It's fine. But the reason why I chose to show everybody how to break down a chicken is because, okay, how many of you can break down a whole chicken? Just raise your hand. It's
not pretty though.
Hey, doesn't have to be pretty. Was it edible? Questionable too. Then fine. No. But the coolest thing is that in my entire career that I've been, like I said, 28 years, I've studied different cuisines, from French, German, Spanish, Italian, Japanese. Obviously, Filipino is the heritage cuisine of choice. And all through those years, you see, okay, you think that, oh, this is how everybody breaks down chicken. That is not the case. If you actually go to Japan, which I'm a big fan of, they break down the chicken to a point where they're eating everything, from the keel bone, a little cartilage, to the wings, to the Pope's nose, which is my favorite, the neck bone, how they debone that. They utilize everything, the wing tips, classic American eight style cut, which is what we're going to start with, fried chicken, right? Drumstick, thigh, wings, paddle, drumettes, breast, all these things. Some people just go right into it and they just like chop, 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 bone in and everything. And I think at each cooking style and each cooking technique, it depends. The way that you're going to cut this, or the dish that you're going to prepare, is going to dictate how you want to cut this. And I was just saying, in this day and age, in this economy, which everything is a little bit expensive, um, stretching the dollar, right? This chicken right here costs about, I think it was $17. A big boy. It's $17. Can you imagine that? $17. I mean, growing up in Michigan and even Detroit, where I remember paying cents on the dollar for a whole chicken, like $3, $4. Right? I remember that, and that's crazy to me. That now, with everything going on, and all of a sudden I'm just gonna throw away a carcass or throw away whatever. I can stretch this into it. So I have 3 kids, so I could stretch this to create 3 to 4 meals, um, for them and for myself, and save so much money as opposed to buying uh, chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken thigh, those things. You have to understand, like, the way that I was just telling them earlier that we do animal shares. Like, several families will go in on a quarter of a cow or a whole hog, and being the skilled one, like, all right, let me break this down for you, and then now you have a freezer full of meat that you would have paid, you know, $12, $13 for 2 pork chops. Now you paid 35 cents for your pork chop, and now you're gonna have a grand old time, right? So I believe this is an important skill. This is a really good knowledge thing to have. Okay, so let's get started. So as you can see, this chicken has seen better days. It went through the UFC apparently and lost the wing, but that's okay. I don't know what happened. Um, the anatomy of a chicken is very interesting. Once you learn how to break down a chicken, you'll learn how to break down any other type of poultry, duck, pheasant, and anything that you want. And then it actually moves up into like rabbit, goat. They have a very similar bone structure in the way that the bones are jointed in. There are other meats like pork and cat and beef and different things that have a slightly different bone structure. But once you understand the small part, you can move into bigger. And if you're really adventurous, you're taking down a whole cow. Good luck. All right. So anyway, let's get started. All right. So the first thing that I like to do on a whole bird is, if I'm preparing it the way that we're gonna do it, which is we're gonna start off with an 8 cut. I like to take out the wishbone. So any little bits and pieces of meat that I can attach to any part of the cut, I'm going to. Why? Because I'm frugal. Because I like to maximize the yield, right? So we all know where the wishbone is, right? So the wishbone of the carcass right here, that wishbone actually blocks off a good chunk of meat. So that's the first thing that I'm always taking out, is always the wishbone. Unless it's Thanksgiving, then we leave the wishbone in so that the kids can have a grand old time, right? So in this bird, the wishbone, if you just feel around the cavity of the neck here, or of the top part, you'll feel that you feel the 2 sides of the wishbone. That wishbone connects to the wing bone. So that wishbone actually does connect to the wing bone. I wasn't lying. So what we do is we take the tip of the knife, and the reason why I like using a boning knife is because it's small, right? Not a lot of people will use fancier knives, or they'll try to use a big knife. It's like, no, this has precision, and this has control. And you could see there's a slight flex to it. There are really flexible boning knives. That's usually used more for fish. I like a semi-stiff boning knife like this that has a little bit of give, but for the most part, it's gonna stay there. It's not gonna slip or anything. So first thing I like to do is I like to kind of scrape along the sides. You can hear that, right? Identifying where that wishbone is. I'll take the tip of my knife and I'll run it along the other side, right? So this is the outside of the wishbone, and you'll see there it's millimeters, right? That I'm going into that wishbone right here. So I'll do that. I'll clear both sides from the bone, and cutting through the joint, it's smooth. You'll detach it right away. Let go of the knife. I'm gonna take my 2 fingers. I'm just gonna run up the wishbone, and everybody familiar with the wishbone, right? It has the little end. That's what connects to that breastplate bone, right? From there, as soon as you feel that flat, I'm just gonna give a little push. I already snapped. So a little push. I'm gonna pull it. There's the wishbone, right? So it's super clean. Oh my God, I left meat on there. Sacrilege. But you can see that's the wishbone, right? So really easy. We're good so far. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm really trying to slow this down because I'm so used to breaking down a chicken in less than 30 seconds because I'm like, I gotta do this. I'm in trouble. All right, so that's the wishbone. All right, so that's the first thing that I like to attack. Second, I like to take off the wings. Obviously, like I said, poor little Jim here lost an arm. So we'll move to the whole wing, and I'll take that one off of here. So I like to hold it up just like this, right? The wing consists of the tip, the paddle, and the drumette. Okay. If you feel in the armpit right here, always look for lines. There are always guidelines. The animal is a natural; it gives you natural guidelines as to where to cut. This is the armpit, and you'll see this natural line right here. That's where the joint is. Fat lines, and you'll see when we get into the thigh and the drumstick. If you're gonna be like, you're gonna impress everybody. It's like, it's like butter. As long as you know where all those joints are, you won't have a hard time. Watch me embarrass myself and miss completely. It's gonna be great. But what I like to do is I like to hold it up. As you can see, there's already a formation kind of dictates where that line is, right? So take your knife and run along that line, right? And you'll see it opens up right into that joint. And you can feel free to, I know this sounds bad, but feel free to hear that pop, right? To disjoint it. Because once you disjoint it, that's where it's going to dictate, right? From here, I cut around, nice little wing, right? You can leave the wings whole if you're a party wing kind of person, or if you wanna separate it, same thing. The joints, you'll feel the little divots. Just take your knife. If you miss, that's okay. Just move over. Just kind of, it's gonna take practice, but you could always, manipulate the knife around to kind of dictate where everything is, right? So from here, I know it's right there, right? Right here, wingtip, call it a stock. I actually like frying these and eating them myself. That's just me. Drumette, paddle, okay? Obviously, again, poor arm, gone. All right, so now we have we take the wings off. We'll trim everything off down later. The next thing I like to tackle are the legs, which is what we're gonna actually use for the adobo. The breast I like to save for later. I don't like using it in adobo because it lends to other better cooking techniques. Pan searing, I love a good seared breast with like a nice little, bean or cream sauce or whatever, or just roasting it, chicken salad, whatever you want, skewers, grilling, fantastic. All right, so to take off the legs, so we're gonna work our way from back to front. Okay, the first thing I like to do is I like to massage the legs. The joint, you could feel. You just hear that? I'm just popping the thigh joint out without breaking the skin, right? I'm popping that out. The reason why is that's going to be another guideline. So it's least resistance, and we're going to maximize the cut, right? So from there, I pop it out. There are two ways that you can do this, actually. You could either take off this entire hind quarter as is, like I would slice through, pop the entire back off, and just cut it right in half. That's fine. Bone-in chicken thigh, big fan of that too. But because we're being fancy, we're going to take it off the bone as is, okay? So from here, another guideline, this back part right here, there's a flat. It goes like this. And then there's, everybody familiar with the chicken oyster? All right, that's that little nugget that sits in a pocket, which I could see already. It's already sticking out. It's right here, right? That's probably the most tender part of a chicken. And in Chicago, when I used to work out there, they used to sell these by the pound, which is great. And I would just skewer them and grill them or like bread them and fry them. But they found that it was too big of a pain in the butt to do that. So they just kept attaching it to that. I was like, okay, fine. All right. So remember I was talking about guidelines? This guideline right here, I'm just going to open it up just so that people can see. There's a bone right here, this flat. That's where I'm going to start. So I usually just take my knife and I'll put it against the bone and kind of drag across until I hit that joint that we just popped, okay? When I hit that joint that just popped, I'm not going to keep cutting. I'm actually going to push down, and I'm going to pull so that I can get that oyster, which is right there, okay? Because if I keep cutting this way, I'm actually going to miss it. See? So as soon as I hit that joint, I'll pull, right? And that actually releases the entire thing. So from there, I'm just going to take that and you have a chicken thigh, right? So I'll do that to the other side. Okay. Again, cut until I hit the joint. Okay. Turn my knife downward toward the joint. Pull to get that oyster, which is, again, a very prized, precious piece for most chefs. And then now I'm just cutting through, right? So you have a chicken thigh, right? You can keep it like this, and we'll tackle this here in a moment. Okay, you can keep it like that if you wanted to, or you can, we could break down, we'll debone it, which I'll show you too. So from here, what I like to do is to make my life easier, because this thing's just floating around, I actually like to take this off. So I'll just cut down, crack, cut between the joints. And this is great because this is just perfect for stock, soups, broths. If you wanted to keep this on to this, then I would have done the same exact thing, which I just did, but with the thighs on, crack that, and then just cut right down the middle. And then you have a nice bone in. Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I actually like bone in myself. But stock, soups, little nibbles, all these fun things. Okay. Now, what we have here is the rest of the carcass. Ooh, there's chicken liver. Yay me! That's for later. I love livers. All right, so here's going to be a non-conventional style of cut. Now, you can take the breast off the carcass like this. This is what they call a crown. You could roast roast the chicken breast on. I always like roasting chicken breast on the bone because it's bone is flavor. It adds and keeps it moist. But for this purpose, I'm going to show you something, an unconventional cut. So crown, right? We just talked about that. Flip that over, and you have this kind of this back part. Okay. Now I'm not encouraging people to do this, but you can if you want to, if you're feeling adventurous, right? Now I was telling about the Japanese style of cutting. Okay. So this neck bone can come off. You could always just whack it. Great for stock, great eating too. It's my favorite. Like I said, I like all the weird stuff. Don't mind me. But here's the funny part. So a lot of people will toss this away as a stock piece or whatever. But surprisingly, if you follow the bone, let's see if I'm good at this. There we go. If you follow the bone and open it up, remember what I was saying about the Japanese style of cutting? This is actually a grilled piece. See, I actually missed a piece of meat on there. But that little bone just comes out. It's actually a solid piece. So that, it has a little bit of meat. The skin, they'll skewer this and grill it. Oh, it's money. Put a little bit of lemon pepper on there. Call it a day. But it's just, like I said, waste not, want not. Knowing where we're all at. Always a good piece, little snack while you're on the grill. All right, breastbone. A lot of people are intimidated because it's big. They don't want to mess it up. Easiest part to remember, there is a middle part, right? Remember when we took out that wishbone? That wishbone is not going to cause you any problems any longer. So, if that, I'll show you after. Follow that keel bone or that ridge bone that sticks out. Feel that and just pick a side that you want to start on. I'm going to start on this side, on the left side. So, just drawing your knife down, following the bone. Your bone is also your guideline, right? That's it. And a lot of people are like, oh, I have to keep using the knife. Don't use the knife. Use your thumb, run it along the bone, and open it up so you can see. Now you can see where you're going, right? So from there, what I like to do, especially with a boning knife, is I like to keep it against the bone. And since STEELPORT's so sharp, it doesn't take a lot of effort, right? It literally is just me slowly drawing this off, right? Dragging the knife against the bone. It slowly releases the meat. Next thing you know, you have this like plump breast. ginormous. God, that's like a turkey. Jesus. Uh, but then you have this huge breast. Now the breast can get taken down. You have the tenderloin in there. I like to save those and freeze them and turn them into chicken tenders for my kids, right? The breast I'll roast whole, slice, or I'll turn into a really good chicken salad. I love chicken salad. It's always delicious. And I set this to the side right here on top of those. Now, when we had the wishbone in here, you can kind of see where it lays. All this meat that was in here would have been just sitting there, and so that's probably about, I would say, I know it doesn't sound like much, but that's probably like a half ounce to an ounce of meat, right? And like I said, you're paying 15 cents an ounce. It's 15 cents. Now imagine if you're breaking down a bunch of chickens, that adds up, right? So what I like to do from here to maximize the yield is this bone curls in. So it goes like this, and then there's a curl like this. It looks like a wave, right? And then that's where the wishbone sits in. And then there's that chunk of meat, right? So that wave is right here, right? So what I can do now is I can actually ride the wave, go down, and I'm clearing all that meat, right? So as you can see, I cleared that. I'll ride the wave back up, find the tip of that ridge bone, and then do the same process. Ride the ridge all the way down. Now you've maximized the yield on your chicken. And look, see how I'm just dragging my knife across? I'm leaving very little meat. And it takes practice. Like I said, I've done this way too many times. And that's okay. Like, not going to be perfect every time. But now you have these beautiful bones, right? That's great for stocks, soups. Freeze your stocks, freeze your soups, reduce it down, make a nice little stock ice cubes. You could take your stock, put it in ice cube trays, freeze it so that every time you just need a little something, just pop an ice cube into your soups or something. It's fantastic. It's a good little technique. If you get fancy, you could throw some herbs in each stock cube, like thyme, garlic, and all these things, just to add some flavor to whatever you're making, right? All right, so tenderloins, I like to take off. Like I said, you could easily just pull that off. You don't even need a knife. You could just use the back of your knife to hold it and just pull it, right? So you have two ginormous chicken breasts. Wild. All right. So I'm gonna set these aside because we're not gonna cook those today.
Chef, as you're cutting, a question comes up. Is there a big difference in the method that you saw learning in the CIA versus your sister teaching you?
Oh yeah, my sister was a terrible teacher. No, I'm just kidding. No. Well, I mean, obviously, like the more formal your training, the better your technique is going to be, right? So it's one of those things where chefs do it one way, but then you also have to realize that at the places like the CIA or like the culinary school, they teach you a very rigid way, which is the French style. But then I've worked in many different cuisines, traveled the world, and I realized that not everybody does it that way. The Japanese are one's very specific. A lot of different places in Southeast Asia, they won't even bother like doing this. Like this is like, I just go right down the middle, right? But because we're here and we're maximizing what we're doing, show you a couple different things. All right. So remember I told you about lines, like how to follow them. You'll see that at every joint there's always a fat line that runs along the bones and along the tendons. See this fat line right here? See this fat line right here? That's where the bone is, right? So I know right here, oh my God, here we go. That's where the joint is. Oh, I lied. No, right there. See?
Wow.
See where that how smoothly that goes in,
Wow.
right? That's where that joint lies. You could debone it as is, or you could debone it after you separate it, which from here, deboning is always fun because not a lot of people like eating around the bone. I do. How many people don't like bone in their chicken? Raise your hand. See, there's always somebody. Way to ruin the fun. No, I'm kidding. But if that's the case, people don't want to eat around the bone all the time because sometimes you're just not used to it, or it's just like it's a hassle, right? So always follow those lines. So from here, I see the bone's exposed. I just kind of follow that, right? pinch, find the underside, and do the same thing. Scrape. You could scrape with the edge of a knife, right? Knives aren't just for cutting. It's a multi-purpose tool. You could use that. Okay. So for your convenience, we'll take out the bones on these ones. All right. And so I like to again scrape around because then you can make this. You could stuff this. You can make you stuff it with ham. You can make what's the one growing up as a kid, my mom would always buy the frozen ones. So delicious, cordon bleus. But I like it with chicken thigh. So from here, as you debone, then you just kind of follow the guidelines, cut around, right? That's it. You're gonna leave some cartilage, trim it. You're gonna make mistakes. It's fine. It's easy. It's not that bad, right? The thigh is actually one of the easier ones to debone because it's a single bone after you separate it. Right? Take off some of that excess fat. It's fine. This one's a little harder to debone, like drummies, right? A lot of people, I like eating it like this. It's a convenient handle, but oftentimes some people don't, right? So cut around, because up here you're not going to get any meat. So why don't create a headache. I like eating. Yeah. But for everybody else. All right. So we're gonna cut down. Right? You can either scrape it if you want to make a chicken lollipop, which you see at fancy parties, dinner parties, a little lollipop. Do the same thing with the not that one. That one's broken. A little drumette. You could do the same thing where you kind of do that and you scrape down and push all the meat down. That's fine. Or what you can do is you cut around, lay it flat. You can see there's a flap right here. You can just cut right in the middle because you're going to hit the bone. And again, I'm using the edge to kind of find out where everything is, right? So from here, look at that. Pull. There is a feather bone. Turkeys have way more. There's like almost, I think, like 8 or 9 feather bones in there. So you see how the meat's hanging here. Gather all that, and now just work around this joint. See? Ta-da! Right? Side, little thigh, little boneless thigh. Now, for this one, if you want to do a completely whole leg, boneless, which this actually, I'm doing this to speed up the cooking process later. If you want to do this one's a little bit more, not advanced per se, but just like it takes a little bit of know-how. So as you can see, these two converge here, right? So what I'll do is I'll actually just draw a line, just go around it, right? Guesstimating where that bone is, but I know where it is. We all know where it is now, right? Because you guys are pros. You got this, right? So I just do a nice little cut right here, scrape the bone one side, run my thumb under, right? One. On the other side, do the same exact thing, where I'm exposing this entire thing. So this is where you guys got to be careful. Try, because I'm a professional, never cut toward things that bleed. Doing this, terrible idea for beginners. Because I know what to do, it's fine. But for those that are beginning, cut away from things that bleed. So now I'm going to insert my knife, turn it outwards, right? Draw it under, there, okay? Scrape that down, get both pieces, right? And do you hear that? I'm not cutting, I'm actually pushing, using the sharp part of the blade to kind of make those small incisions. See right here? If I push and I just push down a little bit, it releases. Boneless. So now you have a full boneless chicken leg quarter. And this is actually great because then you bread this, you fry it, a little panko breadcrumb, call it a day. All right, so I am going to cut this in half now after all that effort. So now we have our items. This stuff, you could do some fun things. If you wanted to, you can Anybody ever have stuffed chicken wings before? Make yourself a little chicken mousseline, or get some, if you eat pork, a little pork sausage or loose bulk sausage from, I'm actually going to use the fancy knives now. You could use pork sausage, or you can buy bulk sausage at New Seasons. If you whack the edges of the bones, now I'm showing you like chefy techniques, right? See how sharp that was?
Why switch the knife?
Huh?
Why switch the knife?
Well, the boning knife, one, see how the blade goes all the way through, guards here. Do you see how it sits higher up? If I were to do that and whack, not gonna hit. And also, that's what these. One thing I love about Steelport, I was just telling them earlier that Steelport, if I were to choose a knife for a day-to-day purpose, like everyday banger knife that I'm gonna go to put through my paces, it would be a Steelport. Reason why is because that's what they're made for. They're made for durability, right? And it keeps its edge. It's great. You know, the maintenance, they sharpen the knives for you. You could bring it in. You know, you don't have to worry about that. Although you should learn how. But the fact that the maintenance is here, I mean, you can't beat it. Day-to-day abuse, especially in a commercial kitchen, these things last. You know, there are other knives out there, like, you know, I'm not biased against any knife. The Japanese make really nice, delicate knives, but there's a time and a purpose. But if I were to take certain knives, just like picking up a knife, a Japanese knife, and just doing that, sometimes it'll chip because the blades are too soft, the metal's too soft, right? Obviously, you know, you can get into the science and details later, but the hardness of the steel is actually to your advantage as a home cook, right? Because again, a good banger knife. So as you can see, I tipped both. Just push down. Oh, it's so slippery. Sorry. There we go. So just push down. Again, if you ever see the lollipop, you know, chicken lollipops and stuff like that, they'll usually just take this one out, the smaller one, and then they'll just leave this one in, and it acts as another, you know, they're maximizing the amount, right? They're maximizing the yield. So from here, I just pull out the bones. I used to have to do hundreds of these, and I hated my life. I shouldn't have said that. I should have made you guys do it and be like, why did he make me do this? But the cool thing, so like I was saying earlier, you know, you take a piping bag filled with whatever you want. This, you pipe it in there, bread it, fry it, little nugget, cover in buffalo sauce or whatever you want. It's fantastic. So boneless chicken wing, it's a fun little thing, right? Party tricks. All right, let's get to cooking. All right. So now what I'm going to demonstrate for you guys and what you guys are going to taste is chicken adobo. Yeah, by the way, any questions so far? Comments, concerns? Like, what is he doing? He doesn't know what he's talking about. That chicken was magical. I don't know.
Great job.
Thank you.
Looks so effortless.
I know.
Yeah.
I can do another one in 30 seconds.
Right.
You go. If someone goes out and gets a chicken, and set a timer, I will guarantee you I could break it down in less than 30. Not like the boneless stuff, but I can turn it into an 8-cut in less than 30. Ah, so if I'm roasting a whole chicken, dang. If well, hold on, let me figure this one out first. There it is. If I'm roasting a whole chicken, I will keep it whole, right? Obviously, now that's the next class. It's called trussing. Hot pot? I don't know what. Yeah. Oh my god. There we go. On.
What temperature do you want? 260?
Let's go. Yeah. We'll use this for searing in a second. Ah, haha. It's better than technology, guys. Terminator is not going to take over. All right. While this is heating up, I will explain to you whole roasting chicken. So when you're whole roasting a chicken, everybody knows the term trussing or tying up the chicken, right? You can buy it at New Seasons already pre-trussed, but it's actually the way that I don't truss it. Because the way that they tie it, it makes it completely compact into a singular piece. But the problem is the breast and the legs cook at a different pace, right? So if you want to maximize the juiciness of that, the way that I truss it is I tie the crown what we talked about, the two breasts, and I'll cinch it where that hip line is so that the legs are sticking out, right? So now, because the breast always cooks faster than the legs, and if you compact all together, all that isn't gonna roast evenly. So now you're gonna have dry breasts and decently cooked chicken legs. But if you truss it right around that crown where the legs are sticking out, you're gonna have one maximize skin coverage, because I like skin. I like crispy or even just roasted chicken skin. It's the first thing to go. So when I do truss it or when I tie it down, that's what I do, and it maximizes everything. How often do you get a roasted chicken and then on the inside of the thigh it's like pale? Yeah. Like I get nobody wants to eat that. Well, some people do. I do, but in order to do that, you can look up different ways to truss a chicken on YouTube. You'll find it, and try them all. They're fun, So yeah, all right, let's get cooking. That's already heated because that's an induction burner. All right, a little bit of oil in the pan. So you'll notice I use rice bran oil because one, it's a very neutral oil. It also has a higher heat smoke point. Grapeseed seed oils are really good for that. I would never cook with olive oil in this way, just because once you heat up olive oil too high, it breaks down the oil and actually starts becoming bad for you. It changes the flavor profile. Like olive oil is really nice for like fruitiness, like for fresh things. You could cook with olive oil, but then I would actually cut it with a oil that has a higher smoking point. All right, so here we go. I'm not using salt and pepper. Why? Because all the other salt and the pepper components are going to be introduced later and allowed to sit overnight, ideally. Or if you're really hungry, you could rush it. But I let it sit overnight. So I'm going to sear it skin side down. You want a good amount of oil in there so that it doesn't stick. I'm going to start breaking these down into smaller pieces.
Skin side down.
Yeah, I always start skin side down. The reason why, because skin's the best part. But also, if I started skin side up, it'll steam the skin first. Then when you flip it, it'll crisp, but it'll most likely stick. When you have a good sear on a chicken, when you're searing chicken breast or anything, you start skin side down. A lot of people rush. How many people have seared chicken skin side down and it sticks to your pan and you're like, damn it.
Yep.
Because y'all are impatient. Reason why I say skin side down is because that's where all the flavor and color are going to develop, right? So oftentimes, people are like, is it done? Is it done? No, it's not done yet. Two things. You either don't have enough oil in your pan, or, again, you're just impatient. Trust the process. Let it sit. A good tip, if you're roasting chicken breast, use your oven. Skin side down, start the sear, get it going like this. Don't touch it. Leave it skin side down. Throw it in the oven. 375, probably 15 minutes. Then flip it. And you're going to have a beautiful golden brown skin. And it's going to finish up. As soon as you flip it, another 5 minutes, you're good to go. And it's going to be juicy. It's going to be delicious. You're going to have a crisp skin on top. That's my tip. All right, guys, we'll see you later. No, it's good. You got this, right? As you can see, I'm making a spattering mess. Sorry. I use meat fork, tongs, these are fancy tweezers. Chefy things. Unbelievable. All right. So you can hear that. So who knows the difference? Oh, bonus points. Who knows the difference between caramelization and the Maillard reaction? Oh, achoo. All right. So I'm giving you information to make you sound fancy. A lot of times people confuse like, oh, caramelize your meat. Caramelizing dictates that there's sugar in what you're cooking. There's no sugar in the meat. The Maillard reaction, the Maillard is the browning of proteins. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna caramelize the steak on the grill," it'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. By the way, I don't have my glasses on today, but you're like, just a little tidbit of information. So Maillard is the browning of proteins, and what happens when you brown proteins? It creates flavor. It's all the good stuff, right? Because we don't like boiled chicken, right? So another fun tip: hot spots. Hot spots in a pan. I can already tell, and you can smell it. Oh, so much oil. You can smell it, right? The proteins are starting to caramelize, but as I'm lifting and checking, this one's good. This one's okay. This one's not. Why? Because the hot spots in a pan, the way that certain things heat up, will always have hot spots. So don't be afraid to shift. There we go. Ow! Spattering everywhere. What is that lid? Unbelievable. That's fine. Sometimes you can put a lid to not do that. Splatter screens, guys, those at home, fantastic. When you're cooking bacon shirtless, I dare you. All right, so chicken adobo. Chicken adobo, adobo in general in the Filipino cuisine is actually not a dish, but a particular cooking technique. Because prior to refrigeration, it was a preserving technique. Because as you're going to see, we're going to use acid, which is vinegars, right? In order to preserve the meats, they would cook in this high acid environment and pot it. They cover it with fat, let it cool, just like rillettes in France. They cover it with the fat, which creates a hermetic seal. The acid creates a safe environment. Next, you know, when you want your meal, they'll scoop it out, fry it in a pan, and then eat. That was before refrigeration. Nowadays, we have refrigeration. You don't have to do these crazy things. Now it's just tasty, right? Can I ask someone to grab water? I forgot to get a water. Just like a equivalent of like 2 cups, 2.5 cups. Yeah, Oh. She's like, no. All right. Set this over here. Beautiful. See? For this purpose, we want the color because we want flavor. And yes, I know some of you are saying that's a lot of oil in there. The oil is the best part. The reason why, because again, it maintains all that flavor, and then when you cool it down, you can always separate it if you want. But to me, I use that oil then to fry rice, right? Save that oil. People throw away bacon fat. People throw away animal fat. Use that to fry things. Use it to cook. Don't be afraid of it. Yes, people talk about cholesterol, but science has proven that cholesterol is actually genetic. So if you're predisposed to high cholesterol, then obviously don't use it. But if you're not, hey, live a little, you know? If you refrigerate it, you can keep it for up to 3 to 4 months before it goes rancid. You can keep it out at room temp for 2 weeks. But, oh yeah, you can absolutely freeze it and it'll last you a lifetime. All right, so here we are. Yes, thank you. All right, so as we keep going, we are now going to build flavor. Remember what I said earlier? Ideally, I would be cooking this and eating this the next day. Reason why, just like in classic braise, let it sit in the juice, let it hang out, let it chill, relax. Stop being impatient, people, because this you make today for tomorrow. You cook the chicken breast for today, dinner, right? All right. So now, what I like to do is I like to add my garlic. So I think a recipe is going to be sent out. So garlic, I like to keep them whole. Reason why? Because it's going to be a longer cooking period, the flavor will slowly infuse and it gets soft, and later you mash that into your rice. Oh, that's great. I'll throw that in there. Okay? Just to coat it a little bit. Black peppercorns. I'm doing this the traditional PTSD way when I was a kid. They would keep the peppercorns whole And then later when you go to eat it, you bite into a whole peppercorn and you're like, damn it, Mom. That and I forgot to crush them. But you can take the back of a knife to crush it or anything like that. But honestly, the traditional way is keeping it whole. Again, you'll use a less amount if it's crushed, but if it's whole, it releases slowly. So longer cooking process, the bigger your cuts are going to be. Same goes to like carrots, celery, onions. If you're cooking something for 8 hours and you cut your onion like this big, terrible idea. Cut it in half or whack it into fours and throw it in there. Then it'll withstand and slowly release flavors, right? So longer the time, the bigger the cut. Okay. So I'm just gonna throw these into the oil. Not all of them, but just throw some. The reason why I like to throw in the oil is because then it has a chance to release the aromatics, right? A lot of people make the mistake of not toasting their spices before using them. A lot of dry spices sit in your cupboard for how many people have spices that have been there for a year or two or longer? Yeah. If you toast them slightly in an oven, it'll re-release the aromatics. Maybe salvage them if they've been there for a little too long, right? All right, so now we have that, garlic, peppercorns, vinegar. I like using white distilled vinegar because it's very neutral and it's very cheap, right? Money saving. You can go up to apple cider vinegar. Champagne vinegar is a little too expensive and bougie, but if that's all you have, that's all you have. I would not use red wine vinegar because it's a little harsher. I would also not use balsamic because it's a completely different flavor profile, right? So I'm not going to add all this vinegar. I'm eyeballing it, but your recipe has the right amount. But you could also adjust. Some people in the Philippines, no adobo is going to be the same, by the way. If I'm telling you how to make this adobo and you have a Filipino friend and they're like, I'm going to make adobo for you, and you're like, oh, that's not the adobo, whatever. Everybody's different, right? So I'll add a little bit of vinegar. Rice wine vinegar you can use, but also rice wine vinegar has a very distinct flavor too, right? If you taste, I encourage you guys to taste different vinegars side by side. I actually did a class on that. It's crazy because different vinegars have different acidity levels and different sugar levels. So each one, like I would use a really good balsamic as is. I would never cook with like a premium Modena balsamic vinegar because that sugar content's super high. If you cook it any more down, it becomes bitter. Cheap balsamic, I will cook with. Rice wine vinegar has a very specific purpose, right? White distilled vinegar, again, very neutral. If I like pickling and canning, so I actually use champagne vinegar because it has a little hint, a different acidity level to it. But we can get into that next class. All right, so I added my vinegar. Chicken stock is ideal, but water's just fine, right? Because again, it's going to all be flavor. So what I'll usually do is bless you, I'll put enough water just to cover. Some people like their adobo saucier. Some people like it drier. If it's pork, I like mine dry. If it's adobo, I actually like a lot of sauce because then I'll pour over my rice, which you'll taste here in a minute. All right, so we got that. Just enough water, just to barely cover. Bay leaves. You can use fresh laurel leaves or you can use the dry ones. Bay leaves are very aromatic. It'll release and it creates a very distinct flavor into it. All right, so I'll throw a couple in there. Now notice my soy sauce. Different soy sauces, different salinity levels, different salt levels. So again, make sure you taste the things that you have because the brand of soy sauce that I'm using now, which is Kikkoman Tamari, because at the restaurant we try to, it's a pain in the butt to cook for gluten-free, especially with soy sauce because soy sauce is not traditionally gluten-free, but Tamari is. So I use that for all applications. But there are other soy sauce brands out there from different countries that are different salt levels. So again, taste, okay? Traditionally, I like to add my soy sauce at the end if I'm cooking pork. So pork cooks a long time, it'll reduce, then I'll add the soy sauce to season. Because chicken doesn't cook, it takes significantly less time to cook. I'll add my soy sauce now because as soy sauce reduces, it becomes bitter. This isn't going to reduce all that much because again, it's chicken. This is going to cook probably, you won't be here this entire time, but this will cook in about 40 minutes. depending on the tenderness of how you like your chicken too. Like if I want my chicken like shredded, which is kind of what I did for our tasting, then I'll cook it for like 2.5 hours, a braised chicken thigh, right? But if I want a little bite to it, this will cook for 40 minutes, it'll be done. I'm gonna let it sit. So I'll add my soy sauce now. So soy sauce, the longer it cooks, the more bitter it gets. Okay, so just keep that in mind on your cooking. All right. So I'll add my soy sauce now. Again, some people like it saltier, some people like it more mellow. Rule of thumb, when you're cooking things with lots of liquid, bring it to a boil always, then cut it to a simmer. You'll see that in cookbook recipes, right? Bring it to a boil, cut to a simmer. It's like, why? Bringing it to a boil ensures that the heat is exactly where it needs to be as you're braising, so that it'll penetrate. And as you bring it down to a simmer, it allows it to go through the item that you're cooking to even out the heat. Now, some people will just call it for a simmer. You can, but it's going to take much longer to get into it. Fish, I'll never bring to a boil. Always just kind of just a gentle poach, gentle simmer. Chicken can take a little bit of that abuse. Other bigger items, absolutely just boil it away, you know. But also, if you continue at a rolling boil, it's really just going to attack the protein and just make it super tough, and it's not going to be very good. The simmering part, that gentle cooking, allows, again, for that even penetration. The boiling part just brings it up to 10. So now we're just going to bring this up to a boil. Okay, watch it, guys, okay? Just watch the boil. Why is this guy acting like this? I don't know.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions so far? You can adobo anything. Vegetables, seafood, like I said, pork, beef, fish, shrimp, doesn't matter. Again, it's a cooking technique. It's less a dish, more a cooking technique. Cool. Oftentimes served with rice. Rice is a very important component to a lot of Asian cuisine. One, because it's actually a quick source of energy. It's like we were saying, like a carboholic, right? And it also acts as a really great canvas for whatever you're eating. Because if you just eat this alone, it is very strong in flavor. It's vinegar, it's soy sauce, it's very salt, a little bit salty, a little bit whatever. Some people add sugar, some people add coconut milk. There's so many different ways to do it. But at the end of the day, that rice acts as a canvas to soak up all that. It adds texture to it. Jasmine milagrosa is a type of rice. That's the most common, so it's a long grain. Not to be confused with basmati rice. Basmati is a very floral, much longer grain. So rice is different starch levels, different purposes. Short grain, medium grain have a higher starch content. So if you go to a Korean restaurant, enjoy Korean food, you'll often find that they use a medium grain rice, because a lot of their food, when they're using chopsticks, especially in countries that use chopsticks, you'll see them use a stickier rice. Because ever try to pick up long grain rice with a chopstick? It's a punishment. So now that came to a boil, I'll cut it to a simmer. A lot of people are like, oh, skim the scum. It's like, no, let that reintroduce, because that's minerals, that's nutrients that goes back into it. There's nothing wrong with that. And visually, maybe some people will have a complaint, but flavor-wise, it's not going to affect it.
Simmering, how long the temperature will work best? You can bring it to boil, but how do you know if it's
Okay, so visually, I'm going to crank this up. If you want to get like super nerdy about it, boiling point of water is anybody? Okay, 212. Simmering is about 160 to 180. But I'm not going to take a thermometer and be like, This is a rolling hard boil. It's hitting about 212 right now. But as I lower that, the speed of the bubble dictates. This is a good simmer level, right? Where the bubbles are active, but they're not aggressive. It went solo now to where this is to me now a poaching level. Well, before it starts acting up every once in a minute. But like this right here is a poaching level. Probably one step up, two steps up, where it's still lightly active. That to me, that's like a good simmer right there, right? The more aggressive your water, the harsher the cooking, right? So that'll cook for, like I said, maybe 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'll cover it, put it in the fridge, let it sit, let it relax, let it infuse, and the next day, heat it right back up and call it. Right? Are you guys hungry? You guys want to taste some of it? Okay. Yeah. If you're using a traditional gas stove, I would go medium high. Very rarely do I ever go super high on the temperature, so about medium high. If you're using an electric stove, because it takes forever to heat up those coils, probably like 8 or 9 would be a good temp. Here, I cranked it up all the way to high, like 460, just to get that oil going. Good thing about cast irons, everybody who here cooks with cast iron? Y'all make me proud. Do you guys know the reason why you cook with cast iron? Everybody's there. That's a good excuse, right? It's culturally, heat consistency. It's a scientific, right? That's actually another way to do it, for sure. No, it's true. Cast iron is one of those things where it conducts heat and holds heat really well, even cooking. If you have really great cast iron pans, such as what we're using right now, Finex, it really is nice. Just like the better your tool, the better your equipment, the easier time you're gonna learn, right? If I were using a really crappy knife to debone that chicken, not saying I can't, but if you were learning with a really crappy knife, it's not gonna be good, right? You're gonna be like, that's how you cut honestly, that's how you cut yourself. You cut yourself with dull knives.
All right, I think we are going to be transitioning to plating and other foods. Chef has done a great job in not making us wait 1 hour, but we want to wrap up, especially for people online. This has been great educational purposes, but being on Instagram Live, I'm sure the people at home don't enjoy watching us eat. But the amazing set of practices. I was looking at. Chef, as we're going through his stuff, not only best practices. I don't know if you saw how many times Chef changed the gloves and was very careful. Transition. There was a lot of subtle training there that Chef Carlo does naturally, was for us to remember. But even if you notice on our cutting boards, as one of the designers of the cutting board, we spent a lot of time to make sure it's two-sided, one side non-porous, and one side classic end grain cutting board. It was wonderful to see Chef actually using the side of non-porous for chicken, and now it can be wiped clean without worrying about juices and things like that, or it was cutting onion and garlic for smell. So great practices that Chef does naturally. So we picked up a lot of training and learning today. Given that, I think we thank our online folks and goodbye. For folks here, obviously you get a chance to sample the food. Just a reminder, as a thank you to Chef for any knife purchases today. We give $50